more like an advisory, so to speak. Last week, very sadly, at the end of the week, we actually heard that over 200 students, from schools were actually abducted, and I mean, in the minds of Nigerians, that is just a slick replay of the Chibok girls' experience over the years. Several years down the line, we have seen some Chibok girls escape and tell the tales, but quite a number of them are still being held hostage. Most of whom have become adult ladies and been married off to, some of those persons and have given birth, some of which psychologically will not even be interested in reintegrating with the society anymore, so to speak. But having another 200 plus students being abducted, and then of course we began to see all kinds of statements. Mr. President said, "Oh, we have sent all the arsenals of security agencies to actually make sure that these students are released." Today is Monday. We have not quite had any cogent follow up as to whether or not those children have been released. I mean, over 48 hours after that particular information first broke out. But here we are now. We all remember that at a certain time, we began to have a lot of advisories with regards to perceived attacks, on schools in the FCT. And now we see again that schools in 14 states, FCT, risk attacks, saying, of course, this is by the federal government. Now, this is like an advisory, a security advisory being sent out by the federal government. Now, against the backdrop of the resurgence of the mass abduction of pupils, the federal government has said schools in 14 states and the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, are at high risk of attacks by bandits and insurgents. Now, the National Coordinator of Financing Safe Schools in Nigeria, Hajia Halima Iliya, confirmed this, of course, to newsmen. Now, we also see that data of at-risk schools had been collected for intervention. Ilya declined identifying this state independently, but the commander of the National Safe Schools Response Coordination Center, Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps, Ahmed Abodurin, said, we saw states like Adamawa, Bauchi, Borno, Benue, Yobe, Katsina, the FCT, Kebbi, Sokoto, Plateau, Zamfara, and 3 others, being highlighted by, him. Now, we also see that no fewer than 465 pupils, teachers, and women have been abducted in the past week. Of course, are still in the custody of their captors. Now, this is a serious issue. We see 15 pupils of an Islamia school in Sokoto State being kidnapped in the early hours of Saturday, less than 72 hours after 287 school children and teachers were abducted from the early year primary school and the government secondary school, both in Kuriga, in the Chiko local government area of Kaduna State. Now, we're seeing that 28 of them were on Sunday reported to have escaped, 259 are still in captivity. See, when we read out numbers like this, the very first thought is there should be no security chief that should be sleeping in his house. All of them should be on the field. Put forth your arsenal, everything that you have in your arsenal, to make sure that these children and their teachers are returned. We already have a debilitating educational system. Our education has really fallen. If we now add insecurity to schools, how much further are we going to fall? Because it just means that an average person will say, rather than lose my child, let me have my child close, at home, instead of sending children to school and you're not sure if they're going to return at the end of the day. So this does not just affect security, it does affect, the build-up of what education should actually be in the country. And when you see, quite a number of northern states have been highlighted, we know that it has always been a hot spot. We should see the Nigerian military, the Joint Task Force, all of them put up the energy. And Francis, this always brings us back to the conversation of when you keep telling us that you have liquidated so XYZ amount of Boko Haram and bandits. Oh, we bombed this place in this particular state. We did this. With the numbers that we've had so far, the energy of banditry and terrorism in Nigeria should actually have come down. Even if it was not going to be fully abated. When they're having like back-to-back consistent confrontation with the Nigerian military, in normal sense, you're going to have them redress a little bit to try to recoup. But this is more like you're giving us reports of, liquefying or liquidating, one bandit's hideout and one terrorist hideout, but the very next week we're seeing like a counter offensive that is really, really major. Sometimes it doesn't actually really add up. So it's raising more questions for the DHQ, but then we need more proactiveness. These children really need to be released, and we cannot be afraid to send their children to schools.
Well, yeah, the situation in the country is a messed up situation. It's a situation that clearly shows the inability of the Nigerian military, the security agencies, and of course it shows the lack of intelligence gathering, it shows the lack of commitment, it shows the allegations by different sections of Nigerian society that the military is largely compromised. Because you would ask, how is it possible that terrorists would enter any state in this country and then be able to march 200 plus students out from school, take them into God knows whatever location, and then not even one single security apparatus or architecture or outfit in this country was able to be there to even carry the smallest, the most insignificant level of repressive attack on these individuals. It clearly shows that we are not ready as a country to change the narrative. From the Chibok girls scenario, it was like literally a walk in the park. They just walk into the girls and off they go. Now we're seeing it happening during the Tinubu's administration, a typical walk in the park. And then the first question that came to me when I read the story about the kidnapping was this. Remember some months back, the Inspector General of Police, Kayode Betokun, after talking tough and saying he literally felt like a lion, and he feels like, going into the Nigerian society and ripping off the society of all the criminal element. We saw different moves made by the Inspector General of Police, one of such being the school security program. I asked Suyai, where are we at this moment with that policy? We were told we were going to have security vans, we're going to have security personnel, even in plain uniforms, in plain clothes, mixed with the student community to forestall these kinds of incidences from happening. Where are we at the implementation stage? We'll always keep on coming to tell Nigerian society, oh, we have this policy, we are planning to do this, we are going to do that, we're going to ensure this. And then weeks, months down the line, nothing is implemented. And then when this scenario plays out, the Nigerian government will come out and issue advisories, they'll come out and issue, press releases, they'll come out and try to condole with families. How do you console a family who knows that the child went out to school and is not back?
Some of which you have 4 to 5 children in those schools.
And then you are not going to be able to account for what is going to be the outcome. I mean, we are yet not over, the situation of the Chibok girls being married off to people they have no affiliation with, never would have wanted to be with, but today they're wives of people they didn't know. They're mothers to children they were not ready to mother, or to men they were not ready to be with at this point in time, because the Nigerian government failed them, the Nigerian leaders failed them. And it all goes down to what the RFMC is saying. The problem of this country goes back to the problem of leadership, and the problem of leadership goes back to the regional sentiments that we consistently uphold for a few politicians just for their selfish interest. Because if we were to understand that whatever happened in this country will affect each and every one of us, either ways, however you look at it, the elite, the political class, the average Nigerian suffers it the same way. But the politicians are shielded from it because, they have their high fence wall, by virtue of apartment. They have their
armored vehicles that they still use 150 million of our monies to buy.
They have all of that. And then plus, the average Nigerian politician still goes out with 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 police officers attached to him as entourage, and a police van even. And so they are shielded to a large extent. And even if these criminal elements are going to go after them, it is still first and foremost the average Nigerian who is either the police officer that is attached as orderly, or as a security aid, that is going to be the person that is, being the first target. Because once the criminal elements enter, they're going to want to neutralize your security aids or your security details. So you get shielded. The average Nigerian who is working every day is still the one that is, taking the bullet for all of the poor leadership, decisions that is being taken across the states of the federation and at the federal level. I would keep saying, and Nigerians will keep saying, when President Ahmed Bola Tinubu said, I'm going to end, insecurity by the end of 2024, I kept saying, what modalities has been put in place? What plan, what procedure, what processes, what are the strategies that we are employing that is completely different from what has been deployed in recent times throughout the 8 years of former President Muhammadu Buhari? Even with all of his background in military, what did we do? Absolutely nothing, Nigerians will tell you. Because if you compare what was achieved by the different security outfit to what Nigerians had expected and what President Muhammadu Buhari has then promised Nigerians, if you measure it, the percentage is infinitesimal. So Nigerians will tell you nothing actually happened as far as the expectations, the yearnings and aspirations of Nigerians under the leadership of Muhammadu Buhari was concerned. Now, we have a Tinubu who is in charge. Most of the persons will say it's Jagaban. Jagaban, the man who has control, who has his tentacles spread across. We should be able to see. I mean, one of the things that Ahmed Tinubu did was a shake-up of the leadership of the armed forces, changing that. One would have expected that with those changes, with those shake-up, we'll have a different strategy put in place. We'll have a different approach to solving the insecurity problem. But why are we still at a point where everything that has happened is beginning to replay? Today we are talking about 300 plus girls who have been abducted and nobody knows. Most security experts will tell you, in the next 10 years, we'll still be sitting down here talking about these girls that have been abducted not being returned to the family.
It's because a drastic problem.
We're still talking about the core members from Akwa Ibom State, for instance, who were abducted. Till today, they have not been reunited with their family. And yet, every day, the federal government, the Senate president, the reps, speaker will send out comments, oh, we are doing this, we are doing that. We cannot continue paying lip service to these issues, for crying out loud.
Now the issue is that we've seen the federal government inaugurate Safe Schools Fund with about $10 million now contributing and another $10 million in pledge from the private sector. So we're seeing about $20 million being voted to be able to make schools safer. But the question is going to be, if you have about $20 million set aside to run schools, is perimeter fencing part of the strongest conversation you can have for security? Because here in Akwa Ibom State in the last administration, in the move to actually say to secure our children in schools, we saw people make cash out with contracts to fence around schools. That was something that we actually had. And schools within the municipal were actually fenced around. Please take a leap. Just get into a neighboring community that is maybe just an hour away from the city center. You find out that most of them were not fenced around. I've taken the liberty to go to some of the schools. You find out, and the principals will be saying the same thing. Oh, the fenced around schools in Uyo, what happened to all of this at the schools? So when we say that we are raising funds and keeping aside money for safe school, what does the federal government have as a blueprint for the safety of schools? We are in a nation that is meant to be advancing. We do not even have CCTV cameras on our roads. If we're even going to talk security, it will be imperative that every school should have a CCTV that is, generally controlled and previewed by working systems. For instance, if we went to these schools that these abductions happened and we had CCTV cameras, we'll be able to at least have first-hand information as to exactly what happened, who led what happened. But we will vote this mornings and we'll find out that somehow it will just enter into a pipe drain and that will be the end of the conversation. But we have serious issues on our hand. Having a replay of the Chibok girls incident again on our hands after over 10 years of not having been able to solve that particular riddle, and another one is being replayed, it means that someone is actually joking with their job. Because if you could not bring a solution to the first one, you should have beefed up activities to make sure that there was no repeat. But here we are, and like you have said, how long is it going to take before this over 400 that have been abducted in the past weeks, actually regain their freedom? It's a massive, massive issue this morning. But of course, it's a conversation that would literally be taking, contribution, by Nigerians, and we have our phone lines, available on the screen this morning for us to be able to contribute. When we are talking about safe schools, what exactly is the safety of schools? Talking at the primary level, at the secondary level, are we talking about the deployment of, police personnel to schools? Do we even have the manpower to be able to assign them to all of the schools, all of the public and private schools that we have in the country? In these states now that have been highlighted as hotspots of possible attacks on schools and students, what is the federal government going to do differently? Are they sending police? Are they sending the military? What exactly are they going to be doing?
The advisories has been given, so we'll wait for another attack.
And we imagine that the advisory is the solution that they have.
We wait for another attack when it happens, and we say, we are going to look into it. The security agencies have been given marching orders to make sure they fish out the perpetrators and then bring them to justice and rescue the abducted Nigerians. Our heart goes out to the family, to the community, to the government and XY state where this attack actually happened. And that is all there is to it. We really need a wake-up call as far as the leadership of this country is concerned. The Nigerian Armed Forces, you were talking about earlier how the security chiefs or whatever who is in charge of this area should not sleep. It's not about sleeping. We need to get to a point where, in the words of Dr. Getsu, that people are fired from their jobs. People are imprisoned from their jobs. Absolutely. Because of their inability to be proactive. I mean, you were not trained as a security agent to sleep in the comfort of your house.
The ineptitude is
You were not trained as a security agent to sit back and watch criminal elements come and overrun you in your own state.
How do they think of this and actually perpetrate it, and there is no... Hello, good morning. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Good morning. Uyai.
Good morning.
Wow, good morning, my young gentleman.
Good morning, sir. Welcome to Rise and Shine. Happy New Week.
I'm very happy to see both of you. You people exchange seat today. I hope you need to have another seat.
We didn't get your name and where you're calling from.
I'm calling you from Akwa Ibom. My name is Engineer Willie.
Nice to have you join us.
Is it because of insecurity that you people are changing seats?
We are being proactive, engineer.
Yeah, I say if it's because of insecurity, you people are changing seats.
It could be part of it.
Okay.
Every now and then we all need to re-strategize.
Okay. I want to tell you how to solve Nigerian problem of insecurity is just a problem of it will not take up to 3 minutes. That problem is solved. I want to tell you, I have the formula, I have the modalities, I know what should be done. And that problem is solved in less than 24 hours.
Okay. Have you ever been in the military?
But in the military, in every sector, security issue will be solved in less than 24 hours if you apply this method.
So what's the method, engineer?
Let me tell you, the method is this. Transfer every personnel, whether army, whether police, to their own local government, to their village, and equip them. Well, I want to tell you, you will not allow somebody to come from another place, from Ondo State, to perpetrate havoc in your community. I want to tell you, if you return all personnel to their hometown and equip them, you will not allow somebody to come from another place in order to destroy your locality, to kidnap from your place. The whole scenario of this kidnapping and all this banditry is that personnel are transferred from maybe Akwa Ibom, Ondo State to Kaduna, and they don't know the terrain.
Understand the terrain.
They don't know how to solve to go into the bush. Try it one day. I said try it. Transfer all personnel to their hometown and equip them. This issue is, by the way. So wasting time on media, shouting they kidnap from me, is part of getting the federal government money. It has become business in Boronu and all the northern states. That is their ministry. They take money from oil money from federal government through this. How can you tell me that 300 people were kidnapped. Take a protest down on this main road. In less than 5 minutes, police will be there. And they will chase you to your room. They will even know your papa. If they can't get you, they will arrest your sister. What are we saying? What are you talking about? You know the truth. Say it on media. You people are in position of this way. Wow. Transfer all personnel, I repeat, transfer all personnel, security personnel. So just let only the chief. Transfer all workable personnel, police officers, army officers to their hometown and tell me who will allow and equip them. These are two statements. Equip them. And tell me who will allow somebody to come from their own state and disturb farmers in their own farm, in your own community. This spirit of patriotism has gone. Let me tell you, Nigeria, we have done everything that has been in our national pledge. The last stanza of the national pledge is what is remaining. And you know what is it? It says, what? What is the, I think you know the last stanza of our national pledge.
So help me God.
That is what is remaining. So please, do the needful. It's not all about politics.
Definitely not.
The government can organize politics and then they will, from what level to state level, ESCO, they can do that one perfectly. The politicians know how to do that one perfectly. It's the pity. But when it comes to insecurity, they will now say, hey, it's that poor man that is there, everything is Abuja. So that's my humble suggestion.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you so much, engineer. It was such, a robust conversation. And two things I take from that. Politicizing security is what has actually brought us here. For you to imagine that politicians now have a sway in the conversation, imagine that people are being abducted in the country and someone is telling you that it's political, like you're using it as a tool against another person.
Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Abiodun from Ogun State.
Abiodun from Ogun State. Good morning and thanks for joining us.
Yeah, good morning. On this issue on ground, I want to say good morning to you. I always enjoy your program and I enjoyed I watched it before, even while I was in office.
Thank you very much.
Now, on the issue of the insecurity, it could only work if those people empower their children are in those schools. The son or the daughter or a grandson of the governor cannot be in a public school and there will not be at least a patrol van at the entrance of that school. But because the child of the public people that don't have any other thing are there, they are less concerned about it. So until we try to domicile security to us, within us, before you become a commissioner in a state, your children or your family must be in all these schools. Anybody that wants to be commissioner for education, minister for education, all their children must be in the country. Then they will be feeling the heat the way we too we are feeling it. But the reverse is the case in our country, Nigeria. Without that, the school security, blah, 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 they will just use the money, send them abroad to train, do this and that. Before you know, the money is nowhere to be found. We are at Kano Jet. Before you know, they say there is an accident on the air and it's gone. $50 million, $30 million is gone just in a GV. So until we go back, let your children be in these schools. Let them be amidst the public. That is when things can work out. Thank you and good morning.
Thank you so much, Abiodun. We really appreciate your contribution this morning. And just to establish that, the governors, the people governing us are too far away from the reality of things that are happening. Like you said, they're inoculated in the kinds of houses, the kind of cars, provision available by our collective wealth for their own children and their own families. And that's a major problem. And engineer had established, and I really believe, because how do you send someone to a place that he doesn't understand the language? Hello, good morning. We have a phone call. Good morning. Your name and where you're calling from. Good morning.
Oguche Anthony calling from Lokoja, Kogi State.
Oguche, good morning.
Good morning, my sister. Good morning, my brother.
Good morning, sir. Welcome to Rise and Shine.
You people are looking glittering this morning.
Thank you very much.
Thank God Akwa Ibom is safe. And all this country, we are praying everywhere in the country should be safe.
We want everywhere to be safe, yes.
Well, I was a barrack boy. I grew up in the barracks, and I knew certainly well what happened when I was trained in the barracks. But it is unfortunate that what is happening now so many persons have taken into another diverted themselves to other things. What we grew up to see in the barracks is not what we are seeing again.
In terms of the quality of military or police activities?
The military. I know the military. The military are people that when they come to where there is any problem, and then people are afraid. If you know that military wants to come to a place and there is a problem there, you see people will be afraid that they don't want. If just a military man can chase thousands of all these bandits and all this, but it is not the case any longer. And so, if this problem wants to be, to be rectified, it can be rectified. It is very simple. Let's just go back to the former way we used to live. Our military has their power, and then they're given the power to do what they can do. If not, we cannot get it right. So many of them have gotten themselves into politics, and it's not helping us any longer. It's not helping us any longer. I know what it used to be, and that is what we are praying that Nigeria should go back. There is a case that happened in Kogi State here in Gegu. It's a place we call Gegu in Kogi State. Two of military female, police female personnel were adopted, and the policemen that saved that place came and said that if these people are not freed, that they are going to attack the community. They are going to bring. And when they started their investigation, they found out that even the chief of that community in Gegu, in Kogi State, they found out that the chief, two of his children were among those that adopted the police female, two police female officers. So that's what we are saying. So if they want to do their job, they know how to do the job. It's just that they are not allowed to do their job. Okay. And we pray that Nigeria, things like this should stop. If you ask me, who I will ask? If you ask me, who I will ask? That's what one for Nigerian nation say. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Oguche. Thank you so much. We hope local Kogi State, experiences more peace. But something he has just said, and sometimes when the situation hits closer to home, you also see them release this arsenal that is also suggested that somebody or something is holding them back from releasing it for everyday Nigeria. I mean, two of their personnel were, abducted, and they sent out. I'm sure that the way they sent out the stern warning made them to be able to find recovery in no distant time. So we have a lot of problems. But the capital issue here, as we've heard this morning, is the politicizing of the security of our nation, and that's what has actually brought us to where we are. Quite a number of serious conversations this morning.